Good morning, everybody. I received your, man, some of y'all, my number got leaked. Some of y'all are texting my phone, my private phone. Some of you guys are emailing me. Some of you are finding me in other places, um, to tell me what you believe to be, good news that another YouTube channel, shouted me out. And I'm flattered. I am. I'm very appreciative, um, of compliments, um, of my efforts. I really do try as best as I can. Um, but I want to say to you guys that I found out a few things by you guys, sending me those messages and giving me advice on the 1099 OID. That you do the very thing that I warn you against. And I'm going to continue to say that, not to say that, hey, you need to listen to me and me only. You have a choice in who you listen to, but I advise you guys against going other places and getting information from here and information from there, because all it will do is prolong your confusion, and you'll forever be buying documents, and you'll forever be paying somebody for services that you don't need. Okay, so I give that advice. I understand that I can't control you, I can't force you, I can't make you, but it's just advice. And so in in receiving those emails and text messages, phone calls, that I got a shout out from a YouTuber. His name is Eon, if you guys have never heard of Eon before. And I have actually had a relationship with Eon, okay, for some time. So Eon knows me. Um, Personally, I can say he knows me personally. He has my number. He can, pick up and call me at any time. And so I started to think, like, why would you send a message to me through the public? Like, why would you say this to for others to come and tell me something that you think when you have a direct line to me? And to stop myself from thinking that, you know, thinking the wrong things. Sometimes we can take things the wrong way or perceive things incorrectly, okay? I always try to look at a person's intent, like what were their intent? Can I identify what their intent was? And Eon may have been he may have had good intentions, if that makes sense. I have nothing bad to say about the relationship that I had with Eon. However, okay, when it comes to the 1099 OID, I do not want advice, especially if the advice that I gave helped you. Okay? If the advice that I provided to the individual that's telling you guys, and that's, you have to kind of be careful because we're dealing in business, and it can get messy, okay, when you're um in a niche, as other individuals may think that we're all in the same niche, but I don't think so. I think that we all have our different niches. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm saying niche, like Niche. Okay, like niche. I don't know if I'm saying it appropriately. I do apologize. But we all have our own niche, and in business it can get a little underhanded and kind of tacky. Okay, and I recognize that. And so the message was like, oh yeah, great job on the 1099 OID, but you need to change A, B, C, or D. I'm not open to advice from people that I helped. I'm not open to it, because then I'll start allowing the opinions of other people to sway my mind from what I believe and know, things that I've seen with my own two eyes. I can be swayed by the very people I helped. It was my 1099 OID process that helped Eon. So, like, why would I change something that works? If the IRS starts to play games, which they do, those are algorithms. Those are the IRS algorithms sending you to other IRS departments so that they can get funding for themselves by accusing you of things like a frivolous filing against your own account. Oh, we've heard arguments like this before the Supreme Court. Some of these frivolous filings documents that don't Supreme Court that don't apply to me. Supreme Court is for federal workers, for employees. It's not for me. It's not for creditors and shareholders. You're talking to some other entity. You can't be talking to me. Okay, so these departments, they play games, okay, because they know they've gotten away with it for so long that the citizens get tricked into believing they have an obligation to pay a $5,000 frivolous. They don't even know what to think of this. And then y'all are using the mail system to mail these schemes. You're using the mail system to do this when you are supposed to be working. Like y'all are supposed to be collecting taxes on behalf of the American citizens. All of us do not make income. That applies to federal workers and contractors receive income, also known as profits. So if I'm accessing the IRS, I can access the IRS and not be paying the IRS an income tax. I don't have to pay you an income tax to access my account with the IRS. I don't have to do that because I have no tax obligations. The only tax obligations we have are the ones we create with the 1099 OID, and that account has an obligation to pay its representative, which is you. So I have a very solid understanding, and I don't want outside influences to sway me or change my mind because then I'll go wherever the wind blows. And I'm not saying it to be like to toot my own horn or to come off as I'm being aggressive or condescending, but I don't want to take advice from, you know, the people that I did this process for and they got yeah. I don't want to put their business out there. I mean, but if we're going to tell people, then tell the whole story. Like tell it so it kind of paints the correct picture. Okay, so some of y'all's favorite YouTubers, I know personally, I've had an extensive relationship with business, of course, only. I'm married. um, but yeah, I don't want any advice on the 1099 OID. And I also advise that y'all stop running from place to place. Stay in one place because you'll think that, oh well, oh no, Christina and this person, they are saying the same thing. Um, that might not be true. You may think that we're saying the same thing. It may sound similar, um, but it's not necessarily the same thing. This is just your way of justifying jumping back and forth between these different ideas. And I get so upset. Some people, and I get grouchy, okay, because some individuals will reach out and they'll say, I authenticated my birth certificate at the federal level, and they'll just list off all of these crazy things, and I'm like, I don't engage in any of this. Like, I'm not even sure why you're even mentioning this to me because I've never spoke about birth certificate authentication. I've never talked about being a beneficiary or Sesta KV trust. You've never heard me talk about these things. and yet you're bringing it to me, and from what it looks like, you're confused. If you've been talking about, I've been at this for a couple of years, I've been doing this for a few years, and you throw out to me all of these things that you've done, well, my question becomes, well, why did you do all those things, and how did it benefit you? What was the outcome? Because it sounds like you're just trying things at this point, but you don't really have a like a solid understanding behind the things that you're trying. And that is what I'm trying to help with. These are your employees, your servants. These are not people that you don't have to kiss nobody's ass, especially when you're funding them. When they're borrowing from you, if a family member borrow money from you, do you then turn around and kiss their ass? No, you want to know where your money at. You want to know when are you gonna pay me back? That's what you want to know, but you don't kiss no one's ass or lick their damn boot. You don't do that. Okay, so no, I don't want. I haven't even watched the video. Y'all have sent me the video. You sent me the snippet. I only know what's in the video because some of you gave me a synopsis that Eon advised me to do A, B, C, and D. Eon could have called me privately. So what's all this about? What's really going on here? He could have called me directly, and he still can. I'm not angry about it. It looks away from where I'm standing. It looks away, especially since it was me. Like, I went to some of these YouTubers. Y'all know my story. I went to some of these YouTubers for help. And instead of getting help from them that I was looking for my foreclosure and for my repossession, I ended up helping them more than they helped me. And that's when I realized, like, I don't need anybody else's program. I don't need, I don't need all this assistance. I just need to have a bit more confidence in myself and in what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And I need to stick to my rationale, how I understand it, what I know to be the case and to be the truth based upon what I've experienced. And that's another thing. That some of these things that I tell you guys is hard for me. Like, I try to get as much proof as possible. So because it's hard to recreate an experience. It's difficult to tell you like why I'm convinced of a thing because you were not present when I experienced what I experienced. So it's difficult for me in some regards to communicate that to you. But a lot of these people I helped. My way worked, so why would I change it? It helped you. Why change it? Who you talk to over at the IRS that said to change it? The IRS, is that your boss or are you the boss? Which is it? They can give advice. Sure, you're free to take advice. Now hang up and call back and ask another agent the same question. So I don't, like I said, I don't know the intent, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm not angry. Um and I have nothing bad to say. Uh I have nothing bad to say about Eon at all. But I would kind of wish that, in the future, like if you want to advise me or something or lend me an opinion to kind of do it privately because openly it from my perspective it looks like, hey, go and tell Christina that she's doing a great job. Okay, so you start off, you give me props. However, she might want to consider changing A, B, C, and D. So now it looks like, oh, I probably shouldn't be listening to Christina. Okay, because if you're advising her and if you're giving her advice, okay, then you know what you're talking about. I need to come over and listen to you. It's not personal, y'all. It's business. It's not personal. I'm not taking it personal. At least I'm not trying to. Y'all hear I'm not yelling this time, like I'm not screaming. But it's just business. It's nothing personal. But I just don't want, like don't use my name in that way. I'm not changing the 1099 OID, and I don't want any outside advice on what you think the 1099 OID should be. If you believe that, then fill it out that way. You don't have to convince me that you're right. Just do it. Okay? So I don't want advice from people I helped. I don't. And I'm not saying that, like, please don't take that as a condescending or I'm being, nonchalant and uh what's the word when you're being like passive aggressive. That is not my intent, but I'm confident in what I'm saying, and I don't want people making alterations to what I'm saying because now anybody can stroll up and give me good sounding advice and then I'll run with it. I don't want to do that. I have one advisor. Unfortunately, he's deceased. So I have to rely on what he left behind. That is my only advisor, next to my husband, of course. Okay? So save yourself the trouble of taking snips and clips of videos and, sending it to me because I won't listen to it. I don't I don't want to plague my mind. I don't want to fill it with any other information. I don't. Okay? All right, so that's all I wanted just to kind of chit chat with y'all early this morning about, I saw the emails. Um, and I thank y'all for y'all's time, like even taking the time to do that. I appreciate it. And I know you guys mean well. I know you have good intent. And I think Eon, for the most part, intentions are good. But I perceive it I perceive it differently. I perceive it in a different, light. And that doesn't necessarily make it, good or bad. It's just my perception. And perception isn't always right, but it's just what it looks like to me. Okay? So we'll talk, y'all. Bye.